We are live. So we'll give just a couple of minutes until let people get in. So good morning, everybody. I'm Gary Box, and I'm here representing ACI, my lab. So we'll give everybody just a brief minute or two to get logged in here. And we're going to talk about some albums today. I really appreciate you guys having me here. I've had a very, very long and wonderful relationship with ACI. As far as I'm concerned, you guys are the only lab out there. So you guys are my people. All right. I think we're going to get going here, guys. Good morning. My name is Gary Box. I'm a professional photographer out of Sapulpa, Oklahoma. That's kind of near Tulsa. My studio literally sits right on Route 66. So if you ever do the Route 66 thing, you literally drive right by my studio. So I'd like to welcome you all. Thank you guys for signing up for this. ACI puts this on, and ACI is my lab. I absolutely love these people. They have been my lab for pretty much everything for years and years, and I am one of their biggest fanboys. And so anything I can do to help them out, I'm always excited to do. So I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to look at some keynote because I'm not really that much to look at. So let's see here. Let's go and let's look at some keynote here. All right. Good morning. This is the art of album sales, how to sell more without feeling pushy. Albums are a massive part of our business. And if they're not a big part of yours, you're probably doing something wrong. Okay. So we've got right here, brought to you by American Color Imaging. I assume you guys, since you've signed up for this, are all at least aware of American Color Imaging if they're not your primary lab. If you're not doing, somersaults over how great your lab is, I really suggest that you check these people out. They are just absolutely amazing, and I can't say enough good about them. And what we're really going to talk about today are the Ravelli albums. Now, Ravelli as their top line album, they also have more economical albums. They have press printed albums, lay flat albums, the full range, everything you could pretty much imagine. But what we're really going to talk about today are the Ravelli albums. Now, these albums are not your small, inexpensive, lay flat, press printed books. These things are large and wonderful. They're heavy. They're solid. I mean, whenever you hand one of these to a customer, they are instantly impressed. And so Ravelli is 99.9% of our album sales. So if you're not offering a premium high-end album, you really, really should. Okay. A lot of people think that, oh, my clients won't spend that much. Don't you dare decide what your clients can spend. That's one of the biggest sales sins that you can make, is determining what your clients can spend. A lot of times salespeople tend to determine what my clients can spend based on what you can afford. Well, don't make that mistake. You're a creative. We all chose to be in the creative industry, and most of us don't make an incredible amount of money. There are people out there who make far more money than we do. So do not make that decision. I mean, if you think about it, how many of you photograph seniors, and your high school senior, the 17-year-old, pulls up in a nicer car than you drive? So don't make the mistake of thinking that they can't afford a nicer album. So make sure you include premium products as part of your lineup. If you feel you need to have a lesser expensive album, that's fine. You can have that as well, but do not sacrifice that high-end album. If you are, you're just making a massive business mistake right there. Okay. So studio samples are essential. So you've got to have examples, and I'm actually going to share a discount code with you in a little bit for 35% off a Ravelli album. So you've got to have samples. If you can't show these to people, you won't be able to sell them. So you've got to show it to sell it is an age-old adage, and it's really, really true. When you put this in people's hands, they understand immediately why this album costs what it costs. They're very substantial. I mean, you could bludgeon someone to death with one of these books. They are just absolutely incredible. They have to feel that. So you need samples. They need to be able to feel that quality. Let them put it in their hands. So we start talking about the albums at our studio tour. Now, we don't do a consultation in our studio. We do a studio tour. Now, the studio tour is a consultation, okay? But it just sounds so much cooler and so much more fun to go to a studio tour instead of a consultation. So our studio tour, our studio's covered with Ravelli albums. They are quite literally everywhere. We have a mom chair in the camera room. On the table beside the mom chair is a stack of Ravelli albums. They're in the sales room. They're in the gallery. They're everywhere. So they start seeing them initially. We actually have 49, I counted yesterday, 49 sample Ravelli albums in our studio. Yes. No joke, 49. Now, we do offer a lower end press printed book that comes with we do a budget associate photographer senior session that's very limited. And it does include a press printed book instead of a Ravelli. And so do you know how many samples we have of the low end album? One. We have one sample of that book, and it's hidden under the table in the sales room. It only comes out when it absolutely has to. So, but the Ravelli albums are quite literally everywhere, 49 of them. Okay. We do albums for high school seniors. High school seniors is our largest genre, but we do all ranges of portraits. We do families, we do children, we do babies, we do Santa pictures, we do boudoir, everything. And we sell albums for all those. Pretty much the only genre that we never sell an album to are business headshots. Everything else, our goal is to actually sell them an album. And so they're quite universal. So even if you say, well, I'm not really a senior studio, I don't care. You still need albums as part of your lineup. Okay. So, all right, let's talk about what a great sale entails. So a great sale, we really, really want to be able to sell wall art. Absolutely. And a lot of times people think wall art, well, that's number one. That's the thing that we really need to sell the most. And okay, I can go along with that. We also want to sell an album. Albums are very, very important. They're key for diversity. Albums tell stories. We tell our seniors that this album not only captures what you look like, but who you are, your style, your personality is all recorded in this album, and you will have it for the rest of your life. We also sell small prints as well, and of course, digital. So if we break down, I went too fast there on my clicker. If we break down, wall art typically accounts for 30 to 40% of our overall sale. Okay, so it's a substantial part, and I certainly don't want to discount wall art. I'm a big believer in wall art, especially multiple pieces of wall art. But that's not what today's webinar is about. Today's webinar is about albums. Albums typically are half of our sale, maybe a little bit more, 50 to 60% of our total sale is from selling the album. Small prints, 10 to 20%. Now, we are not a digital studio. We do not sell digitals. That's just not my passion and my goal. We are print-based. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. So we use digitals actually as a bonus level to encourage people. So what it is if they order wall art, an album, and small prints, we consider, oh, you're doing our package then. And basically, if they're doing our package, they will get a low-res digital of every image that they order from. That is the only way we do digitals other than business headshots. So if a client comes in and they want digitals only, I'm sorry, they'll have to call somebody else. We do not do that. Okay. So one of the things that we really do, again, I'm going to focus on seniors for just a moment. We do their senior album covers their entire year. That's called the all year senior album. And this is really great. We do their main session first, and it's very important that at that main session, you secure the main order there. However many images they start with in their book, they will get those low-res digitals now, but their book will stay on hold. Then we do boomerang sessions. And boomerang sessions, they come back all year round for little mini sessions. And they can add those to their album. So their album sits on hold, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing and growing throughout their senior year. So at the end of the year, they have an album that covers their entire senior year. I have an entire program on boomerangs. And so at some point, if you get a chance, I really encourage you to look at that for all the details. it's a wonderful plan. The parents keep coming back, spending more and more on this book. And in the end, the parents don't even realize what they've spent on the book. So let's take a look at what one of our senior albums would actually look like. So we start with our main senior. So we've got 2 spreads there. This is a 10 by 10 Ravelli with a luminous cover. And this is actually a client album. So all of this is from her main session. Now we did there's your homecoming boomerang on the field, the downtown boomerang, spring at Philbrook, one with all of her show gear and awards, and then her cap and gown. So that's her complete album. And so back to the numbers on it, we had a base album, 18 images is $10.99, an acrylic cover upgrade, $129, 21 additional images at $59 each is $12.39. So her initial album order, $24.67. That's at her initial order. Then she ended up doing 4 boomerang sessions. Boomerang sessions are a 30-minute 2-outfit mini session, $49 in studio, $69 on location. Very inexpensive. I'm only spending 30 minutes of my time. Okay. So she had 4 sessions, $276, 35 boomerang images at $59 each is $20.65. Her total album ended up being $48.08 out of a $71.72 total order. So you can see here, the album is over half of the total sale. We had wall art, small prints, grad announcements, and everything else is what makes up the remainder of that sale. So you can see how important the album is to our studio and to our operation. Now, we probably sell more in Ravelli albums a year than what a lot of photographers do in total business. I seriously, I cannot believe how many of these we sell. We sell one to pretty much every high school senior. We sell them to pretty much every newborn and a lot of our children and families and other things as well. So, and pretty much every boudoir session as well. So, okay. So let's talk a little bit about, I made the comment about digitals only a while ago. We believe that long-lasting prints are primary. So they are going to last forever. Now, I've been in business over 35 years. I'm doing my high school seniors, many of them, I did their mom and dad senior pictures, and they're coming back for a second generation. And I ask the moms and dads all the time, it's like, how do your pictures look? They look just like the day we picked them up. It's still hanging on my mom's wall. And that's what's important. These are important milestones in their life. They're making an investment on, and I want something that's going to last them their entire life. I want kids to be able to look at their grandma's senior pictures to know what their grandma looked like when they were younger. Digitals, I'm sorry, you're not going to be able to find any of that later on in life. So I believe prints are primary, but digitals are still important. I want my granddaughter, I want her pictures on my phone to be able to show off to everyone. Digitals on your phone have pretty much almost entirely killed wallet sales, which were once a substantial amount of our senior sales. So one of the things that we do, other than we just don't sell digitals, we start promoting digitals in our marketing. We have product-driven marketing. In our mailouts, we're featuring albums. We have albums. We feature wall art on walls and everything like this. So we are starting to build that desire from the very moment that we're marketing to them. And not only that, but this says this is what we do. We get surprisingly few calls from people who even want just digitals. In fact, a lot of the calls we get are like, oh my God, you do prints. I've been looking for someone who does good prints. Yes, that's us. There's 1,000 photographers out there that are digital only. We specialize in high quality prints, which of course are all printed by ACI. Okay. So another thing that you can do with your albums is we actually create a video of our albums. And you can actually do this for social media. You can put this on TikTok or Facebook or Instagram, everything like that. I literally just built a little easel and we'll put the album up and we video it as we flip it page by page by page. So this is great promotion of our albums up front. So this is all in our marketing before the client even steps in the door. Then once they come in the door, now they're going to see the samples everywhere. We're going to hand them to them. We're going to let them feel them, and they're going to be blown away by these albums. So I'll let this video finish just to give you another idea of exactly how we do our albums. So this album, in fact, we have our record album that sits out front. She did 6 boomerangs, and this album was right about $5,000. And this young lady actually asked, so how many more do I have to do to beat that record? And we're like, what? She actually said that, they're competitive. They want to be number one. And so her album turned out absolutely beautiful, though. She was still a little bit shy of breaking the record, though. All right. So that gives you an idea of another marketing way that you can do this. And this is just an easel leaning that we set the album on. We put like a video light on it. And this is just literally an iPhone in a holder. And we just flip through the album. So great way of being able to promote your albums to people, and you're building desire. So you're starting to build the desire before they even come in. And that's important. Okay. All right. So that's how our digitals, my opinion on digital. So let's talk a little bit about the process of actual selling the album. So, and I should probably actually pause. I don't have a slide for this. It wasn't in the bullet points for the program, but it's also very important that we shoot for an album. I am constantly shooting in a series. I will do one outfit and one background, and I'm going to do a series. I'm going to back up here and let's talk about this. So we have, this pink series. We do a series like this. So I will do a number of images, one outfit, one background, and those are specifically done as a series, one-on-one, to sell one album spread. So I'm actually thinking about albums as I'm photographing a session, which is very important that we think about that. Another thing that I'll do a lot of times is I will shoot a horizontal with some negative space to the side. That makes a great base image, like the image here at the top. So you see, I shot a horizontal with negative space to the side. We can stretch that negative space with content aware fill or anything like that, and then drop other images in on top of it. So I'm thinking about these things as I'm shooting it. Wasn't in our bullet points, but I think it's a really important part of album sales is you need to shoot for the album. You can't just shoot an image here, an image here, an image here that really aren't related and tied together, because then it's hard to put them together into a great looking album spread. And so I think this is something a lot of people don't really do well enough, is shooting for the specific products that they want to sell. You've got to wrap your brain around you're just shooting more than a bunch of great looking pictures. You are actually shooting for specific product. Okay. So I think that's an important point. Yes, John.
So we had a quick question that kind of aligns with where we're at now. It was,
great.
Do you do your own layout and design of the albums, or do you do a service to do it?
I do not. I have a Matt. Matt Lima works for me, and Matt designs all of our albums. He is amazing at it. In 2019, Matt had retired from the military. Now, I love telling his story. He's my best friend and very talented. He retired from the military as a photographer, decided to start a photography business in 2019. Yeah, bad timing there. Well, I had done a boudoir promo, and we were coming up on our end of the year boomerang albums. And I'm looking at my stack of albums that I'm going to have to do in the next month. And I have over 60 albums that I need to produce. So I called my friend Matt, and I'm like, dude, are you doing very much right now? Nothing. And I said, I will train you and pay you to do albums for me. And he said, okay. So I taught him how to do albums. The guy's amazing. He's actually better at it than me now. We call him the album king. Now, if you don't want to do your own albums, there are services. ACI actually does album design service for you. So they can lay out your album if you're like, oh my God, I don't want to do this. If you like a simple, clean layout, they have layouts already in their rows where you can just drop the images into the square boom, 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 and you're good to go. Or you can have them design a more creative album, and they have several like styles or looks that you can pick from there. So, and of course, you could have an independent album designer do it. Matt does albums for a couple of other clients, but he's really hard to get into because he stays really, really busy. So, excellent question. John, do you know off the top of your head ACI's design pricing for albums?
I am looking into that right now. I know it is not that expensive at all. So let me.
No, I know it's not bad. I don't know that number off the top of my head because I have a Mac. So, all right, let's talk about selling the album. First of all, album pricing. A big mistake I see a lot of people making is they price their albums by the spread or by the page. All right, I'm going to say this as clear as I can. Stop that. Don't do that. Start pricing your albums by the image. And whenever I say this, people are like, yeah, you're right. People will try to cram 8 images onto a spread just so they're paying that one price of $100 a spread or something like that. Now you're retouching 8 images and doing the design work for $100. Yeah, no. That's not good business. I'm sorry. So I'm going to tell you straight out, stop that. Do not price your albums by the spread or by the page. Price them by the image. And that's very, very important. Okay. Now, I have a lot of people say I'm not selling enough albums. And so I want to talk about if you're not selling enough albums, one of the ways you can start selling more is to actually lower your entry point. Now, I'm saying lower your entry point. I am not saying lower your prices. And that's very, very important. So let's talk about what I mean by that. So let's say currently, well, my deluxe album, is 36 images and it's $1,750. And I can't get a lot of people to go into that because it's $1,750. Okay, you've got a high entry point that's scaring some people off. Is the problem there. So instead of selling 36 images for $1,750, you want to reduce the number of images and reduce the price. Now you're lowering the entry point and you can get people involved and you can get them starting to buy an album. So reduce it to 18 images for say $1,000. These are just round numbers. These are not my prices. So reduce it 18 images for $1,000. Now, okay, at $1,000, maybe I can get people started now. And then you charge by the image for the additional images. So if we charge $49 per image and you add 18 additional images, putting you back to the 36 that you were at, that's $882 extra plus the $1,000. Now you're at $1,882. You actually lowered your entry point, but raised your overall selling price. And, selling someone a $1,000 smaller album, it's like, oh, well, I didn't make as much money on that one. Yeah, but you know what? You still made money. If they didn't buy an album or they bought your, $495 lay flat album, you still made a lot more money than had you sold an inexpensive or no album at all. So if you can't get them to buy product, you're not going to make profit. Okay. Now I don't live in a wealthy market or anything like that. I jokingly say I live in Redneckville, Oklahoma. I'm a smaller town, literally on Route 66. I can't get by with charging the prices that some of the people in larger markets do. I mean, if I was in Dallas, I would probably have to double my prices to be where I needed to be. So it's all relative to your skill, the brand you have built, and what your market will bear. One of the things I say in my actual sales class is that the best price that you should be charging is the most you can charge without impeding your ability to move the product in quantity, because moving product is your key to making money. If you're not moving something, maybe you're charging or asking too much for it. Okay. So you've got to get that price as high as you can without stopping your customers from buying it. So very, very good overall sales point. So anyway, that's a little bit about, this is a good way on how to get more albums started. Lower that entry level, not lower the price, lower the entry level. Okay. All right. So we do all of our sales are in-person sales, and we use ProSelect, and we want to control the sale because we want to give them what they needed. So, and we had and a question here, and ACI's album design is only $69. And additional spreads are only $6 per spread. Incredibly inexpensive. So yeah, that's, if you don't want to design it, great. Don't do it. Just send it to ACI and let them do it. Okay. All right. So back to selling. We do an IPS sales session. Now we like to do the sales session quickly, like as soon as we can after the session, ideally like 2 days later. So if we shoot it on Tuesday, you're back in looking at them to order on Thursday. And I have a lot of photographers go, what? How can you do that? Well, we're simple. I mean, we have an efficient system. We cull the images down. We output them. We show our images in the sales room completely unretouched. We might make a little correction, like, oh, I'm going to do some highlight, reduction on that one or something like that. We might do some very slight adjustments, but for the most part, we're showing raw images in our sales room. And I've heard other people say, oh, there's no way I could get my sales if I didn't retouch every single image. We don't retouch any of them, and we get sales like this. But I will preface this, I'm old. I started on film before there was Photoshop. So I tend to shoot pretty darn clean and get as much as I can in camera. Not that that's the only way to do it. I'm not saying that. What matters is how great the end image is. But for me, it's a matter of efficiency. While a lot of people are sitting there fixing a lot of images, I'm either shooting another session, making more money, or I'm at home getting to mow my lawn. If you don't know me very well, I'm like very passionate about my lawn. So anyway, so we want to control the sale. We want to make sure that what they're buying is a good choice. We want to put images together that build a really good page spread. Now, if they have just one image out of a series, how am I going to make a good page spread out of that? If it's an awesome horizontal, I could maybe do a panorama, but if they only have one image of this outfit, how am I going to make a good page spread out of that? So we actually won't let them do that. We'll just tell them, it's like, well, you can't do a single image. You have to have at least two, or you have to drop that one. And almost every time they will add a second image in there. Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit more about our album spread in just a second. I believe in ProSelect for sales. I think it's the king of sales. And I am a very, very big ProSelect fanboy. So, which is what we use. And I'm actually going to walk through a ProSelect session with you guys in a few minutes and talk about some stuff. Okay. So the very first thing we sell in the sales room is the wall portrait, and that's for mom. Okay. Whenever our senior and our mom come into the sales room, I will look at the senior and I'm like, Lily, let me explain something to you. What goes on the wall is not for you. It's for mom. Okay. So when we're picking images, she picks what goes on the wall, not you. The second thing we do is your album, your book, and your book is your story. And so when we're picking book images, your opinion matters more than mom. Does that make sense? She'll say, yep. And if you think about it, what I've already done is I've drawn battle lines in my sales room. I don't want mom and the senior fighting over this image or that image. I've drawn battle lines and I've already declared who gets to pick what. And so we do our wall art first. Okay. Our target are a collection of multiple pieces of wall art, usually not overly large. My favorite wall art collection to sell is actually 4 12 by 18s, 2 vertical, 2 horizontal, and 2 vertical, and we call it a pinwheel. That is my favorite thing. If I could only sell one thing for the wall for every senior, that is what I would sell. Not a giant print, 4 smaller ones. All right. So we go through the images. We do our yes, no, maybe, of course. Okay. As the very first thing, get them narrowed down a little bit. Now, whenever we're talking about to mom, we will say, Mom, what I want you to do is pick out your top, 6 or 8 images that you might want for your wall. And you don't want her looking at 50 images and trying to decide, I want that one, and that one for my wall. You need to narrow the scope. And narrowing the scope makes the decision much easier. So I will tell mom to pick her top favorite 6 to 8 images that she might want on her wall. And we will drag those into another folder. I'll show you that in a moment when we switch to ProSelect. So then we go to that folder. Now she's only seeing those favorites. And we use the room view where we take a picture of their wall and we drop the images in. We start rearranging them until we have something that mom loves. And we're like, great, we've got that. Let's talk about what finish. And we've wrapped up part 1 of our sales, which is the wall art with mom. Okay. The next item that we're going to sell is actually our album. So we turn our attention to the senior away from the mom at this point. Okay. Now, I actually lay out on our table, on our sales table, or actually Judy does most of our sales, so she follows this pattern. We lay out and we show our sizes. We have a small, and we will instantly push it away saying, but nobody buys this. Consequently, we sell virtually 0 of them. That's the 4x10. Okay. We have a medium, and that's an 8x8, a large, which is a 10x10. And then we have an extra large, which is a 12x12. And we don't sell a lot of those. Pretty much everyone buys the 2 that are in the middle, and the large is the most popular. So I have already told mom exactly what she's going to buy, because in sales, people will follow what is the most common. If you tell them this is what everybody does, they will be like, oh, okay, then that's what I will do. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy in doing your sales. So that's what we want to do. We say everyone buys one of these 2, the 8x8 or the 10x10, and the 10x10 is the number 1 favorite. So that's how we talk about size. But then the next thing that we do is very, very key to our album sales. We have a special album. And I actually have it right here, but I've got pictures of it so you can actually see. So we grab this album, and I will say, this is Araya. Araya, let me show you what makes a really good album design. And I open the book up. The very first page is a panorama. And so we say, now, if you have a horizontal that you love, we can always do like a really cool panorama. And by the way, you can add quotes or inspirational quotes or scriptures or anything like that to your album. It's totally custom. We'll do whatever you want. And then, but as a general rule, we say what looks really good are 3 images on a spread. This is my personal preference. I think 3 images on a spread looks really good. I would rather have 3 high impact images on a spread instead of a whole bunch of little bitty ones. So I flip the page and I'm like, so 3 looks really good. We have 3, we have 3, we have 3. So, and I go through several. There's actually a couple more than that. Now, whenever I get to the flowers, this is my prompt. And I say, now you can do as few as 2, or you can do as many as 4, but you don't want to do more than that or it starts getting junked up. Do you understand? Yes, I've got it. Okay, guys, this is really important because what I just did is I just paved the road for how we are going to select images and how we are going to sell them. Okay, we're not just going for sell you every image. We are going for sell you an album design that looks amazing. Okay. And this is how we do it. So we actually have this album specifically laid out for that little presentation. And I encourage you to do the same. Do a sample that's laid out like that so you can show people and say the same thing, because it's very, very important in part of our story. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to run through that one more time because I'm telling you that you need a sample album that is laid out like this. Okay. First image is a panorama, and we tell them we can do a panorama. But then I have probably about 7 or 8 spreads that are 3 to a spread. And we show those, and I'm just flipping through. Whenever we get to the flowers, you know which one is your last 3. Then the next page, you can do a 2 and you can do a 4. Now, the rest of your book, you can do whatever with as your sample album, but you need the beginning of that sample album to be laid out like that. This book is not just a sample. It is a sales tool. Okay. So this album gets literally everybody sees this one book because it is our pattern. Okay. Now, all right. So I'm going to do a sales session demo in ProSelect for you in just a second here. But I wanted to mention a couple of real things real quickly. So here is your Ravelli discount code. This is 35% off of a Ravelli album. Okay. Now, these are premium albums. These are premium albums for your customers. They're not an inexpensive lab bill either, but they're worth it. So saving 35% off for a sample album, or even if it's a client album right now, this is not limited to one. You can enter Winter Albums 35 and save 35% off on that. That expires March 2nd of 2025. I believe they're going to be recording this, so I wanted to put in there, there's your expiration date. So you don't have a whole lot of time. Get you a sample put together and get it sent in, okay? If you're not already a part of my Inside the Box photo group, it's a free group. I do a lot of question answering there. It's more than just me. There's a lot of really talented people there. So if you're not inside the box, I really, really encourage you to do so. Okay. All right. So I'm going to stop sharing this screen for a moment because we're kind of done with Keynote. Do I have any questions there before I actually go into the album presentation, like walking through the ProSelect process? Anybody got questions on what we've covered so far? Nope. Okay, well, we're doing great. Somebody might be typing. If they do, we'll answer it. Okay, so let me get ProSelect reopened here. Still no questions. All right, I must be doing a good job in answering everything if we don't have any questions. All right. Okay, so I'm pulling up an actual client order, and this is her yes, no, maybe. Oh, sorry, I got to get that shared. Turn screen share on. And there we go. We're going to share. You should see my ProSelect now with a bunch of little thumbnails. Can someone give me a yes, I see it, so I know? Oh, does the client? Oh, that's a great question, Gail. Does the client approve a proof before you send it to print? No, never, never, ever, ever. They tell me what they want in there. We design it and we do our job. The client will ask for things sometimes because they don't know how it's going to look in the finish. Like, for example, we always want images facing into a spread. Okay, never this outside image facing out of the spread because it will lead your eye out and away. So we want those images to go in and we want them to lay out good together. Clients will start requesting changes that we know will not look good. So one, it's a nightmare. It's a time sucker. And we also don't want people to second guess their sale later and go, no, can we take this one out or anything like that? So we never, ever, ever do any proof to the client on an album before we order it. We order it, and I have never, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these books, I've never had anyone unhappy with how they laid them out. I have had people unhappy with how they spelled their name. Well, so that becomes a new sales sample. Okay. So yeah, we make mistakes. All right. So great. We do see that. That was an excellent question, Gail. No, the client does not approve the proof so far. Okay. All right. So we've already got this to the point of yes, no, maybe. So if we look here in the top left corner, we have smiley face, medium face, and sad face. This is yes, maybe, and no. So this is actually what the client narrowed down. We have 50 yeses, 2 maybes, and 44 nos. Now, so we turn to Katie after we go through and showing exactly what's going to make a good album. And we start focusing on Katie at this point. I want to interject one small thing. So used to a previous salesperson, we used to say, now your base album is 18 images, but you can have as many as you want. And at that point, they were $49 per extra image. And what people would do was they would go, okay, I want that one, 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 that one. They'd count up to 18 and they would stop almost every time. So we sold a lot of books that were thin and had 18 images in them. Whenever I took over sales personally, I'm like, wait a minute, that's selling up. And one of your sales rules is you need to sell down, start big and drop down. And I'll tell you that because you'll see whenever I run through this, what the difference is. And you'll be like, oh my God, that is an amazing difference. Okay. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look one series at a time. Okay, Katie, let's look at your first series. And I'm going to select all of these and open them. Now, I told you these are raw images. So oops, I have the light, the center one at the bottom. I have the light in the edge of the picture. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I shoot as clean as I can. These are all like unretouched straight proofs. Okay. All right. So I pull up these 6 and it's like, okay, Katie, we have 6. If you love them all, we can do 2 pages of 3, or we need to narrow them down to 3 to 4 out of this series. And Katie's like, okay, well, I really like the bottom right. I like the bottom center, and then the 2 on the left. Okay. 4 works. That's great. Now, what I'm going to do here in ProSelect is I'm going to take these 4 images that she selected. And if you look down at the bottom left-hand corner, you see little folders, wall, album, prints. You can give these whatever names you want. I'm going to drag these to the album folder and they disappear. Okay. Now we're going to look at the next series. Okay, Katie, we have all of these. Oh my God, these are so cute. I love the laydown one. The one in the middle at the bottom, you know, that might make a really cool panorama spread across your book. Oh yeah, that would be cool. So I drag it to the album folder and it disappears. Okay, so now we have 5 images left. We need to narrow that down. Well, I already have a lay down one, but I really like the middle top, the top right, and the bottom left. Awesome. 3 is ideal. We drag them to the album folder and they disappear. Now we're going to go to our next series, the white series. Okay, we have 4. We can make all 4 work, or we can drop it down to 3, which is, you know, our ideal. And she's like, I don't really like the one on the bottom right that much. Okay, so let's take 1, 2, 3. We drag them to the album folder and they disappear. Now we go to our next series here. And okay. All right, so we have one dress in 2 different locations downtown. I'm actually going to treat that as 2 separate series if I have enough images. So I'm going to open the first location as one series. It's like, okay, oh my God. All right, we have a lot of these. Again, you can do 2 pages if you want, or we can try to narrow it down to 4. And so she's like, okay, I like the top left. I like the bottom center. I like the top right and the bottom right. Okay, great. That's perfect. 4, we drag them to the album folder and they disappear. Now we'll look at the second location. Okay, well, we only have 3 in this spot, so which is pretty much perfect unless you want to drop one and keep it at 2. Nope, I like all 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3. We drag them to album and they disappear. All right. Now our next outfit, next series. Here we go. Okay. Now you can see the bottom left one. We really want to encourage her to keep that because that is perfect for stretching and adding the others in. So she likes this one, and this one. Okay, great. We add them to the album and they disappear. The next one here. So incidentally, nothing stops me. If you know me very well, nothing stops me. So we're out on this session and it starts out really hot and then it actually starts raining on us and we're trapped underneath the building. And so I tell Matt, I'm like, Matt, go get the umbrella out of the truck. And I'm like, come here. And I took her shoes off of her. And I'm like, get out there and play in the rain. So this is legit. This happened. And I just don't stop. We add an umbrella, lose the shoes, and I keep going. So, okay, we got all of these. And I really, really love the umbrella series. Yeah, I do too, especially the bottom 3. 1, 2, 3. Maybe those are the only 3 she picks. Okay, great. We add them to the album folder and they disappear. Now we go to the waterfall, but we've got our green part of the waterfall first. Okay, I love this one. I love this one, and I love this one. Great. Album folder, they disappear. Now we're in the waterfall. Okay, and we have 4 in this first outfit that she did. And it's like, okay, let's do this one, and this one. and we drag them to the album folder, they disappear. Now we have our white waterfall dress. Okay. All right. So these are great. Well, I really love this one, and this one. Okay, good. Then we drag them to the album folder and they disappear. All right. So I talked earlier about how clients would count up to 18 and they would stop. Maybe they'd add just a couple of more images and that was it. Most of our albums were 18 images. Whenever I changed to what I'm about to show you right now, I instantly went to 10 additional images at $49 each as my average, which meant my average album went up $490 literally from one day to the next. Because what I do at this point is like, okay, let's see how many we have. And we click on the album folder. Okay. All right. Well, we have 33. Do we need to eliminate any? At this point, it's almost impossible for them to eliminate any because they've made an I like this choice, and they've also made a design choice in the number of images. So maybe they might drop one or two images, but there's no way on earth that they are going to get this album back down to that 18 starter images. So we're at 33. It's like, no, I love all of those. Okay, great. So we've got 18 as your base, and that's going to leave 15 additional, okay, at $59 each. And there's our starting album right there. Okay. And this doesn't count boomerangs or anything like that. So making that change in how we sell, guys, I cannot stress to you how much of a difference this will make, because now we're selling down. We're starting at the best you can have. Do you want to reduce it? Oh, no, I can't, because I already love what we've done. So that is your big key change right there. Okay. So let me see. I've got a couple of questions here. How can I make your senior system work for baby planners? Oh, absolutely, Daphne. We do baby plans. Judy photographs all of our newborns. And so we have baby plans that might include like 4 sessions their first year. And their base baby plan has a base album of 18 images that's in it. And then as we go through each session, building their album larger, they keep adding more images. Do you really think they're going to stop at 18 images? No. So they're just going to keep adding on additional images at $59 each. So they're going to have their 18 spent, if not by the newborn, by the second image, they'll have used up all of those. So the third and the fourth session, every image that they're adding, it's $59 extra. So in our baby plan, it specifies you get an album with 18 images included. And we just tell them, oh, you can have as many additional images as you want. Extra images are only $59 each. Okay. All right. Love this way to choose album images. Thank you, Katie. So that sales process, though, is really what gets our albums to where we are. Now, I mentioned earlier, we talk about our boomerangs. So all of this was from Katie's original session. This does not include any boomerangs. And whenever we explain to them how they want, it's like, okay, Katie, I know every album, every image you put in your album, you're going to get a digital. I know you don't want to wait on those. So we're going to put your album on hold. And I literally hug a book just like this, but we're going to go ahead and do all the retouching. You get your digitals now, but your book will stay on hold. Okay. She's happy. She gets those digitals now. Now, once we've done the retouch, she can't change her mind. Like later, she can't say, can I drop some of those and add some of these from a boomerang? Nope. We've already done the work on those. So that's a no. Okay. So I'll answer that question for you right away. All right. That is how we make an incredible amount of sales on albums, guys. Now, Ravelli albums, one of the things that I find that some photographers are like, oh my God, they get a little overwhelmed because there's so many choices in the Ravelli lineup. It's so customizable. That's okay. Do not offer every option, okay? Pick a few options that you like and just offer those. For example, you can do different papers, you can do different coatings. We only offer one. We do photo paper with the UV cover, period, end of statement. We don't even offer anything different from that. I don't offer linen because I don't like it. Okay. So we only give one choice. We do the gilded edges, the foil gilding on the albums is absolutely beautiful. I think there's 12 different colors. You can do silver, you can do gold, you can do black. There's a bunch of different colors you can do on the gilding. We always do thick pages unless we have too many spreads, and then we have to reduce to the thin pages. So just offer the few options that you want to. And there's like, oh my God, I don't even know how many sizes there are. We only offer 4, and 95% of what we sell is either 8x8 or 10x10. Okay. Did you say the low res digital comes with all purchased images? Gail asked that. Yes. If they do our package, which means they must buy wall art, they must buy an album, and they must buy prints. Then it's considered a package, and you get all of your ordered digitals for free. If you did not order a print, no, you don't get the digital, because I'm not retouching it if you're not paying for a print. Okay. All right. Any other questions before we wrap up, guys? I hope everybody gets a whole lot out of this. A lot of information we just ran through there. And so I hope it really increases your album sales. So if you've got follow-up questions for this, the best place to go to my Inside the Box photo group and ask them in there, and I'll be more than glad to answer them. Literally, as soon as this presentation is over, I'm jumping in the truck and driving to Sync in Florida. So don't expect an answer today, but I will answer your questions. All right. Lisa asked, can you talk about the cover choices? Yes, our basic cover is leather. And then we offer, our first upgrade is photo canvas. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the screen share. Okay. So this is photo canvas. This is our first upgrade option. And then we have the metal. So this is the metal print on the cover. And we have the acrylic, and the acrylic is by far our favorite upgrade. Now, here's what's almost kind of funny. The photo canvas cover actually costs us less than many of the leathers do. And so we will tell people, especially if they've added in a pretty good number of images, we can tell them, you know what? I'm going to throw in a cover upgrade for you. Let's do the photo canvas if they pass on doing the acrylic. I'm going to throw in the photo canvas upgrade for you. They actually think that oh, great, that's good. But we're actually lowering our product cost on that. So it's kind of a win-win for both of them. So leathers, photo canvas, metal, and acrylic. And so most of what we sell is either photo canvas or acrylic. They call the acrylic luminous. Okay. All right. Jill said, is there a replay? I feel like I need to watch this again to absorb it all. I believe there will be, Jill, on, Mark just said there will be on the ACI YouTube page. Okay. All right. Well, I think we've got it pretty well wrapped up. So again, follow-up questions, throw them in the group. Thank you so much to Mark Lang, to John Brooks, Tommy Stanley, the entire ACI staff. Again, guys, I cannot rave over how much I love these guys. So, I can say that of all the labs out there, I only know of one lab owner that is on Facebook answering client questions pretty much on a daily basis. And that's Mark Lang from ACI. And that says a lot about their customer service right there. If the owner of the lab, the big kahuna, is in the Facebook groups answering your questions, that shows the level of customer service that they offer. You're not an account number, you're a person, and they love you. Okay? Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. You guys have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.